tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddham dhammam sangham saranam gacchami. Homage to the Buddha, homage to the Dhamma, homage to the Sangha. May these teachings and this practice bring benefit to all beings throughout the past, future, and in the present. May it be. Okay, so welcome everyone to our guided meditation and Buddhist teachings event here in Tabarwa, South Italy. We're very fortunate. We have some people here from Brazil and Italy and Ireland, as well as Myanmar. And I am from America. And we have many people joining online from different places around the world, different countries. Every moment of our lives can be meditation. Whenever we can return to the direct experience of seeing, or the direct experience of hearing, or the direct experience of breathing, then we can easily enter into a meditative state. But this path of Buddhism is not all about meditation. We practice to be generous and giving and open with what we have, with what is precious to us, especially what we cling to. As a Buddhist practitioner or someone on the path, you practice to give up, to give away what you cling to. And this clears the air or clears the path for living a virtuous life. Because when we cannot give up what we cling to, it means we cannot detach from our desire. We are just controlled by our desire. We are just controlled by our fear. And we do things basically in this constant state of reactivity. So as we do actions of generosity, we are able to regulate our conduct, meaning that even though we desire something, we don't have to do that. And even though we fear something, we don't need to avoid it, but rather we can accept it, or we can be with it, we can endure it, we can practice with it, not just relying on this state of I controlling. And for a Buddhist, that means basically we follow the 5 precepts and we prioritize virtue in our lives, or we prioritize mindfulness in the way that we go about our life. So instead of just reactivity all the time, we stop and we don't start. We just experience what's happening right now. We just experience the breathing. We just experience the seeing. We just experience the hearing. We just experience the sense of the body. We're mindful of it. We're aware of it. And in the same way, we don't allow our thoughts to just drag us around. Just because you think something, that doesn't mean anything. People believe all kinds of ridiculous things. You know, it's normal. Even throughout the day, we will have some idea that's ridiculous. And whether it's true or not, It's impermanent. It's not satisfactory. It's not separate from everything. So it is ridiculous in its nature. Many people cannot stop their action. They cannot stop their thinking. They cannot stop their importance that they give to all the things that they encounter in their lives. And that means they're constantly pouring energy into things that are not very helpful, don't benefit themselves, don't benefit others, but still this constant giving attention. So we are often in this state where we start something and then we abandon it. So we're not very successful in what we do. Start, stop, start, stop, start, stop. It's better to clear the air, not to start. Then you don't have to stop. You don't have to do anything. You can just experience the original nature. You can experience the impermanence of phenomena so that you are not so, you're not very much interested to cling to unnecessary things because you don't have to. You know they are impermanent through your experience, not through the intellect. So today in our session, we're going to be reading from the record of Mazu. And Mazu was a really profound and high-level meditation master, Buddha, kind of enlightened person from ancient China in the Chan tradition. And we're all very fortunate to come across these teachings, to come across the Dharma. And the kind of meditation that the Buddha taught about is a wisdom-informed meditation or insight-informed meditation. It's not just focusing on our breathing. It's not trying to get into some special state, some mystical state or something like that. But it's really to penetrate through all the clinging, through all the thinking, through all the complicatedness, and to experience space, or to experience the true nature, the original nature of the mind, the original nature of the Buddha's mind, the original nature of your mind, of my mind. And this is not a place for people who are not concerned with the truth. The Buddhist temple or the Buddhist monastery is the refuge for truth seekers, for those who cannot settle for appearances, cannot settle for what is convincing, but are primarily concerned with the truth. And we usually develop our concern for the truth because we are aware of birth and death. We are aware of suffering. We are aware of unsatisfactoriness. And like everyone, we don't want to suffer, but we are suffering. And so some people go the route of distracting themselves, trying to distract themselves from the unsatisfactoriness of having a body, the unsatisfactoriness of having a mind that is clinging to the mind of things coming up and going away. It can be very confusing, especially if we try to figure it out on our own. So we have to listen very deeply to the meditation master. We have to take these records to be more worthwhile, have more value than gold, in fact. And they do. I mean, even if you had a bunch of gold, what would you do with it? It's heavy. Um, and it comes back to generosity. And a culture, a society, a person that does not prioritize generosity, when you ask them, oh, what would you do if you won the lottery? And they start talking about buying mansions and buying Bugattis and Ferraris and Audi A8s and hot tubs and, mountain villas and things like that. And it's a really strange thing because we only have a few basic needs as human beings: shelter, food, water, safety, and teachings. And there are higher and lower teachings. And there are teachings pointing to the absolute truth, or the tabarwa, the original nature. And there are teachings pointing to how to suffer a little bit less. So today we're going to listen together to some teachings from the Chan tradition from Zen master Mazu, uh, pointing to the original mind, or the ultimate reality, the truth. So let's take a moment to gather our resolve, gather our sincerity and our authenticity. We may close our eyes for a moment and adjust our posture if we feel that we need to. Make sure that you're comfortable, stable, and upright. Being in such a way where the intellect cannot interfere with you. Like someone on a long journey going home to their beloved ones, going home to their family. Even though they don't have water, they don't have food, the sun is beating down on them, there is only one option, and that is to continue. That is to practice seriously. And if we are not willing to have this degree of resolve, then it doesn't matter if the Buddha himself, or Jesus himself, or Muhammad himself comes down to earth and says, hey, I'm going to help you out. It won't do you any good. So finding our posture and collecting our resolve, maybe taking a few deep breaths, bringing our mind home to the body. And when we practice meditation in this way, we should realize that nothing you're experiencing means anything. You feel tension somewhere, your breathing is deep or shallow, you have some idea in your mind, some thought, it seems to be important, it's happening. That doesn't mean anything. Just like the birds outside singing, playing together, making a beautiful song. It doesn't mean anything in particular. It is a happening. And our meditation practice is to be aware of these happenings, but not moved by them, not controlled by them, not pushing us into this pit, this muck of contrivance and complicated thinking. You can use the mantra, who cares? You can use the mantra, that's not my business. Just to come back to the direct experiencing, and sure, just to come back to the breathing. A lot of people don't like this. They don't like being told that what they think or what they feel in their body doesn't mean anything in particular. And what that means for themselves is that they're tangled up all the time, by this and that and this and that, like an endless chain binding them. So as practitioners, we are the chain breakers. Phenomena are happening. Sensations in the body are happening. Mental formations are happening. The environment is happening. So what? That's not my business. like a bow and arrow. Too tight, no good. Too loose, no good. And so moment by moment with our breathing, with the awareness of our mind, we're finding this penetrative balance to direct experiencing, to being with. This path is not to be consumed, it's not to be understood intellectually, it is for the brave among us. And we here are some of the few people in the world that are cultivating, not simply consuming, not simply avoiding. So it's as serious a matter as life and death. This practice takes the whole heart in this moment. And even though it seems, and we may hope, that there will be many more moments to come in our life, that is not at all guaranteed. Life and death does not work like that. So this moment, this practice, this cultivation, this is your whole life. And you should put your whole heart into it. Otherwise you are wasting your life, throwing it away. This life is not to be wasted, it's to be used. Not only for your benefit, but for the benefit of others as well. And to do that, we have to be strong. We have to be brave. We cannot be fearful anymore. We cannot fear what is inside of us, because what is inside of us is precisely what will liberate us from fear. And it's not all day, it's not every day. Even if you live at a temple or a monastery where we have this chance, this opportunity, we may feel discouraged because we are a beginner, or because we do not have so much experience, or because our practice has not been so great lately. But all of these are delusions. All of these are stepping stones to return, to begin again, to be upright, to be embodied, to be wholeheartedly experiencing precisely this moment. A moment that is not relying on success or failure. Is freedom success or failure? How can you be free if you are only allowed to succeed and not to fail? Let's get into the Dharma from Master Mazu. The patriarch said to the assembly, "The way needs no cultivation, just do not defile. What is defilement? When, with a mind of birth and death, one acts in a contrived way, then everything is defilement. So don't be contrived. Don't be calculating. Don't have a complicated, convoluted mind about things. Have a straightforward mind. Be wholehearted and honest. Be clear in what you do. Be clear in what you don't do. Limitless straightforwardness. Limitless straightforwardness. The patriarch said to the assembly, "The way needs no cultivation, just do not defile." What is defilement? When with a mind of birth and death, one acts in a contrived way, then everything is defilement. And this mind of birth and death is a mind of clinging onto temporary phenomena that arise and pass away. Just as surely as space is spacious, these phenomena arise and pass away, but clinging onto them as being fixed, clinging onto them as somehow being ultimately real. When with a mind of birth and death, one acts in a contrived way, then everything is defilement. If one wants to know the way directly, ordinary mind is the way. So what kind of meditation do we want to practice? We want to practice seeking spiritual powers or having special experiences? Or do we want to know the way, the path, the truth directly? If one wants to know the way directly, ordinary mind is the way. The ordinary mind is the way. What is meant by ordinary mind? No activity, no right or wrong, no grasping or rejecting, neither terminable nor permanent, without worldly or holy. The sutra says, neither the practice of ordinary people nor the practice of sages, that is the bodhisattva's practice. Just like now, whether walking, standing, sitting, or reclining, people respond to situations and dealing with people as they come. Everything is the way. So what is this ordinary mind? What is meant by this ordinary mind? What is your ordinary mind? What is the experience of it? No activity, no right or wrong, no grasping or rejecting, neither endable nor permanent, without worldly or holy. The sutra says, neither the practice of ordinary people nor the practice of sages, that is the bodhisattva practice. Just like now, whether walking, standing, sitting, or reclining, responding to situations and dealing with people as they come, everything is the way. The way is identical with the Dharma Dhatu. The Dharma Dhatu is the absolute reality, the absolute truth, the fundamental reality that is inclusive of separateness, is inclusive of interbeing, but does not rely on, is not trapped by, is not stuck by anything. So the way is identical with the absolute truth. Out of sublime functions, as numerous as the sands of Ganges, none of them is outside the Dharma Dhatu, the absolute. Kind of like everything that happens in this universe, everything that happens in this planet, let's say, is not outside of the universe, is not outside of everything already, immediately. If that was not so, how could it have been said that the mind ground is a Dharma gate, that is an inexhaustible lamp? So this mind ground, or this space in which all phenomena arise and all phenomena pass away within. All dharmas, we can say this as phenomena. Dharmas are like phenomena, and dharmas are also truths or waypoints. All dharmas are mind dharmas. All names are mind names. The myriad dharmas are all born from the mind. The mind is the root of the myriad dharmas. The sutra says it is because of knowing the mind and penetrating the original source that one is called a sramana. So this knowing the mind, penetrating the original source, this is the work of meditation. The more we meditate, the more we know the mind. The more we can penetrate to the ground of the mind rather than the content of the mind. We can see space rather than just being stuck and fixated on all the appearances that come about within space. The names are equal, the meanings are equal, all dharmas are equal. They are all pure without mixing. If one attains to this teaching, then one is always free. If the Dharma Dhatu is established, then everything is the Dharma Dhatu. So if the Absolute, if your recognition of the Absolute is established, then everything is the Absolute. If your mind is at peace, then everything is at peace. If your mind is at fear, then everything is at fear. This is why it is so powerful and so important to practice and to cultivate, because our mind and the state of our mind, how we care for it, how we attend to it, it is our reality. And over time, this lack of care, this lack of cultivation, this lack of health, because we don't practice and because we haven't been taught the way, it bleeds out into our society. It affects our children. It affects our loved ones. If suchness is established, then everything is suchness. If the principle is established, then all dharma are the principle. If phenomena are established, then all dharmas are phenomena. When one is raised, thousands follow. The principle and phenomena are not different. Everything is wonderful function, and there is no other principle. They all come from the mind. Everything that we are experiencing is originating from the mind. Everything. For instance, Though the reflections of the moon are many, the real moon is only one. Though there are many springs of water, water has only one nature. There are myriad phenomena in the universe, but empty space is only one. There are myriad phenomena in the universe, but empty space is only one. There are many principles that are spoken of, but unobstructed wisdom is the only one. So the principle is unobstructed wisdom. We could also say unobstructed peace, or unobstructed clear seeing, unobstructed awakening, unobstructed spaciousness. Whatever is established, it all comes from one mind. That the body is composed mostly of space. That everything that is solid has within it space. That the value of everything that we as modern human beings give importance to is space, right? The more space in your car, the more space in your house, the more space or free time that you have, the better, right? But do we ever stop to consider the value of the space in our mind? The value of no thought, the value of no person, no situation, no story. Whatever is established, it all comes from one mind. Whether constructing or sweeping away, all is sublime function. All is oneself. There is no place to stand where one leaves the truth. The very place one stands on is the truth. It is all one's being. So this is an interesting notion to work with, that we are sitting under the Bodhi tree. There are myriad phenomena in the universe, but empty space is only one. There are many principles that are spoken of, but unobstructed wisdom is only one. Whatever is established, it all comes from one mind. So whatever comes up, whatever phenomena, whatever ideas, whatever feelings, stories, situations, experiences that arise, that come about, right? They're all originating from one mind. They're all originating from space and return back to that space. So the power of our practice, the power of Chan, is that we recognize the value of space. We recognize the value of no thought. We recognize the value of not someone. Whether constructing or sweeping away, all is sublime function. All is oneself. All is the expression of one mind. The very place one stands on is the truth. It is all one's being. If that was not so, then who is that? So, if the place that we stand at right now, if the place where we sit right now is not the truth, then who is that person that is separated from truth? Who is that person? Where is that place that is separated from space? All dharmas are Buddha dharmas. and all dharmas are liberation. All phenomena are expressions of the Buddha nature, and all expressions are liberation. Recognition points, remembering points. Liberation is identical with suchness, such as the Dharma is like this, reality is like this, my true nature is like this. Whether walking, standing, sitting, or reclining, everything is always inconceivable functioning. Inconceivable function. So the principle of the absolute, or the principle of everything, or the principle of space or true nature, the principle of the emptiness within inside all phenomena, the temporariness that all phenomena get their power from, their existence from. This body is not a permanent entity, and it only exists, and a thought, a feeling, a situation, some kind of mental state that we have, its power is not in its permanence or its fixedness. Its power comes from ever-new impermanent nature. And the function of space, the function of emptiness, the function of absolute reality is what we see as myriad phenomena. Good and bad people, right and wrong actions, Italy, America, Thailand. Whether walking, standing, sitting, or reclining, everything is always inconceivable function, ungraspable, uncomprehendable function of everything. The everything that is not everything already. The sutras say that the Buddha is everywhere. The Buddha is merciful and has wisdom, knowing well the nature and characters of all beings. He is able to break through the net of beings' doubts. He has left the bondages of existence and nothingness, with all feelings of worldliness and holiness extinguished. He perceives that both self and dharmas are empty. He turns the incomparable dharma wheel, going beyond numbers and measures. His activity is unobstructed, and he penetrates both the principle and phenomena. Like a cloud in the sky that suddenly appears and then is gone without leaving any traces. Also like riding on water, neither born nor perishable. That is the great nirvana. In bondage, it is called Tathagatagarbha. When liberated, it is called the pure Dharmakaya. Dharmakaya is boundless, its essence neither increasing nor decreasing. In order to respond to beings, it can manifest as big or small, square or round. It is like the reflection of the moon in water. It functions smoothly without establishing roots. This is the absolute. Not obliterating the conditioned, not dwelling in the unconditioned. the mind can be spoken of in terms of its two aspects, birth and death and suchness. So birth and death like arising and passing away, and suchness, or just like this. The mind as suchness is like a clear mirror, which can reflect images. The mirror symbolizes the mind. The images symbolize the dharmas. If the mind grasps at dharmas, then it gets involved in external causes and conditions, which is the meaning of birth and death. If the mind does not grasp at dharmas, that is suchness. The mind can be spoken of in terms of its two aspects, birth and death, or arising and passing away, and suchness. The mind as suchness is like a clear mirror which can reflect images. The mirror symbolizes the mind. The images symbolize the dharmas, or the phenomena that come about in the mind. If the mind grasps at dharmas, or if we grasp onto phenomena, then it gets involved in external causes and conditions, which is the meaning of birth and death. If the mind does not grasp at dharmas, that is suchness. So a mind, a practice that does not get involved in external causes and conditions. And so what do we do when we get involved in certain causes and conditions? We step back. Step back, take a deep breath, bring the mind home to the body, and try to understand, try to remember, not that this is the same as the experiential knowledge or the insight or the wisdom, but it can help us guide how we think and how we use the mind, how we interact with the mind. Remember that all compounded things, thoughts, even this body, is impermanent, is unreliable. Although we will often use the power of the situations, the places, the roles, the genders, the relationships that we have to be just as skillful, if not more skillful, to step back, to detach, to abandon, to forgive involvement. Because this is the power to offer the resolution. The Shravakas hear about the Buddha nature while the Bodhisattva's eye perceives the Buddha nature. The realization of non-duality is called equal nature. Although the nature is free from differentiation, its function is not the same. When ignorant, it is called consciousness. When awakened, it is called wisdom. Following the principle is awakening, and following phenomena is ignorance. So what principle? Well, the mind is a clear blue sky. Clouds come, clouds go, but the mind is a clear blue sky. Principle. The Shravakas hear about the Buddha nature, those who listen to the Dhamma, okay? While the Bodhisattva's eye perceives the Buddha nature, the realization of non-duality is called equal nature. Although the nature is free from differentiation, meaning free from difference or grasping onto differences, even though this nature is free from differentiation, its function is not the same. This is like wisdom logic. So the principle and the function. The principle of nature is free from differentiation. Nature is free from a giraffe is better than a cow. It's true, isn't it? So that's a principle. Nature doesn't have differentiation like that. Reality doesn't have differentiation like that. So here, that's a principle. Although the nature is free from differentiation, its function is not the same. When ignorant, it is called consciousness. When awakened, it is called wisdom. Following the principle is awakening, and following phenomena is ignorance. Ignorance is to be ignorant of one's original mind. Awakening is to awake to one's original nature. Once awakened, one is awakened forever. there being no more ignorance. And how long is forever? How many infinite numbers can you think of? Just a tip. Like when the sun comes, then all darkness appears. When the sun of prajna emerges, it does not coexist with the darkness of the defilements. If one comprehends the mind and the objects, then false thinking is not created again. When there is no more false thinking, that is acceptance of the non-arising of all dharmas. Originally, it exists, and it is present now, irrespective of cultivation of the way and sitting in meditation. Not cultivating and not sitting is the Tathagata's pure meditation. If you now truly understand the real meaning of this, then do not create any karma. Content with your lot, pass your life. One bowl, one robe. Whether sitting or standing, it is always with you. Keeping sila, keeping precepts, you accumulate pure karma. If you can be like this, how can there be any worry that you will not realize? You have been standing long enough. Take care. So deep bow to the Venerable Mazu for these very significant and profound teachings. We'll leave it here for today. Thank you all for coming and participating and joining in this reality experience. It's kind of like a laser tag with reality. Reality and defilements, right? And reality always wins. The Dharma Dhatu, the absolute. The absolute always wins. So we can always have a good time if we stay with the absolute rather than follow the phenomena. And today in 1 hour we will have a Zoom meeting which will be online and not in person with Aya Yeshi, who's a Tibetan Buddhist nun, and she'll be introducing herself to our group, and it'll also be live on YouTube in 1 hour, taking some questions. So if you're in the Discord, you can come into the Zoom meeting, and I'm sure that will make her feel very welcome. And she's doing a lot of social work. She's been a nun for 20, 30 years, a very long time, so we're very blessed to have her share some of her time with us, okay? So thank you everyone so much for being here. Blessings, love, and lasers, and see you soon. Take care. And don't forget to leave a like. All right. Bye-bye.